Um, how do you want me to name you as like an energy coach? How would you want to be introduced?
You can name me as the energy coach.
Oh God, you killed me. Okay, I see how this interview is going to go. Okay, okay, okay.
You can say the energy coach, creator and founder of the C3 method.
Okay, got it. All right, creator and founder. Um, all right. Hello, my loves, and thank you so much for joining me on the Get Your Guy Coaching podcast. I have a very special guest, and I know that I say that every episode, but this is actually a very special guest. He is the first male guest on the Get Your Guy Coaching podcast. He's a friend. We have gone through quite a few different journeys together, and I'm just so happy to introduce to you all the energy coach and the creator and founder of the CP3 method. What did you say?
The C3 method.
You know I'm playing you. You know I'm playing you.
Look at him coming from me hard. That's
I
right.
have
to. This is my initiation.
I have to. No, y'all. Okay. More seriously, you all. It is the C3 method, which is amazing, and we'll talk a little bit about in this podcast. But I want to introduce you all to Michael Blunt. Thank you so much for being here, Mike.
Hey, thank you for having me. As I was telling you, I'm really excited to be swimming and bathing in divine feminine. So when you invited me on this podcast, I was like, yes, more, maybe, please invite me to this. I would love to talk to women. I would love to share my secrets and the tools that I've learned from just really being balanced between divine feminine and divine masculine, and learning the interplay between those two, which are not, gender normative. It's really
Correct.
just about energy. It's
That's
really
right.
just about energy. So my energy matches. I'm excited to match with the frequency of the people that are on this podcast and yourself. And I'm here to serve and be an open vessel.
Well, thank you so much for that. If we do get cut off, people realize that this man is living his best life in Mexico, and sometimes the Wi-Fi is a little sketch. So if we do hear some cutoffs, we know what it is. Okay, Mike.
I manifested my best life, and that's something that I can teach.
No, for sure.
In my classes.
For sure. We'll definitely get to all of that, but let's talk a little bit about who you serve and a bit about your business and the C3 method. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So let's back up a little bit. So how do you want to start this? You want to ask me a direct question, because that was kind of open-ended, and I want to make sure that I'm really, diving into what it really is that you're asking.
I'm asking, who do you serve in your business and about your business?
Okay. So wait, can we re-edit that? Sorry.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Did it throw you off? What's going on?
Yeah, that threw me off because I wasn't sure where to start. So I was like, oh shoot, I can start here, I can start here, I can start there. I don't know where you want.
Well, here's how I think that you should start it. I think you can just talk about the people that you serve now and what you do in your business. And then, the next question is, well, how did you get into that work? And then we can talk a little bit about how you got to where you are now. Right? Okay. Because I like to start this because I want them to know what the hell you do, so that in their minds, they can be like, okay, I might want to work with this person, right? Based on knowing what he does.
Got you. Okay, perfect. I'm so glad that you allowed me to stop and edit, because I was really thrown.
Well, apparently I have to. You're trying to take over my podcast. No, I gave you the order of the questions, and you acted like I'm giving you random questions.
Okay, I'm ready.
You are killing me. Out of all of the guests that I've had, you have been the most high needs, mister.
I am high maintenance, but I'll tone it down.
No, don't. We're having a good time here. It's all love. It's all good. Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. We'll kick it back up now. Okay, so Mike, tell the listeners out there kind of who you serve and a bit about your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So who I served are the unbalanced folks, the people who are looking to make a transition, and the people who are looking to find the tools to create balance in their lives.
Mm.
Too many people live lives lacking in balance. And creating an extraordinary life is balance at all levels, which means that every area of your life needs balance. I might have $1 million, but I might be miserable in my love life.
Yeah.
I might have a really, really powerful love life, but be miserable when it comes to interacting with my family, or just feel very stressed out with the work that I'm doing. So, you can upgrade in one area of your life, but really downgrade in another. And what I really offer to people is really finding balance across all areas of their lives. And I do that by teaching self mastery, or through self mastery and subconscious energy reprogramming. And normally when I say those two phrases, self mastery and subconscious energy reprogramming, people are like, "What? Wait, tell me more." What does that mean?
Exactly. Tell the people what it means.
So for me, what that means is everybody is responsible for their own energy. Your biggest responsibility on this earth is being responsible for your own energy. So if you can master your energy, meaning mastering your triggers, mastering your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions and behaviors, then you can master your frequency. And once you master your frequency, I mean, you are something to be played with. I mean, you are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
And mastering your energy is everything. And that dictates your health, your life expectancy, the way that you move, the power that you bring, what you can manifest, the people who you date, the experiences that you have, how much money and abundance that you can bring in into your life, and the wealth and abundance that you can live by for the rest of your reality. And that's really what I'm teaching people. Because when you can really master, or really get into self-mastery, you never have to go to another shaman again. You never have to go to, and I'm proud to say this. I'm not going to say I hate to say this. You never have to go to another coach again. You never have to rely on, therapists or people outside of yourself to help you figure out what's going on internally. I'm giving you the tools so that you can become your own master. And when you become your own master, you reach freedom. You reach sovereignty, you reach freedom, and you become unlimited.
I love that so much. And I love the fact that you talked about balance, because what I know about a lot of my clients, and even the women that I don't work with but talk to, is that they make themselves super busy because there's so many like voids in their life, and to compensate for them, they lean into work, or they'll try to live this luxury Black girl lifestyle, right? When really that is not like giving them what they need, right? But they become really busy upholding what it should look like, right? And so I'm so glad that you are talking about this, because it's not talked about a lot. And balance, as you were saying, does bring joy, does bring happiness in a lot of different ways. And so I'm so happy that you do the work that you do. Now, how did you get into this work?
Well, I got into this work because I lived a very unbalanced lifestyle.
Were you doing too much?
I was doing the mostest. So when I came out of business school, we went through MLT together.
We did.
Went to Columbia, I went to Kellogg, and we just thought that this was it. I'm gonna make my 6 figures, and I am gonna be set for the rest of my life.
That's right.
And when I came out, that just wasn't the case. I was working more hours. I was getting paid more, but I was working more hours, and I didn't really have time to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So it got to the point where stress was really ruling and dictating my life so much that I started to develop TMJ, which is the locked jaw in your mouth, where I had to wear mouth guards to go to sleep because I was grinding my teeth so much that it was basically sawing away my teeth. I started to develop stress hives all over my body. And the stress hives were not the most attractive thing ever. And, they were really, just the physical display of stress manifesting in my life. And then lastly, I had an anxiety attack at work. I
Mm.
was in the middle of a meeting. We were actually finishing the meeting with my director, and I was rushed to the hospital because I could barely
Oh
breathe.
my gosh.
So when I arrived at the hospital and I was speaking to the doctor, I was like, what's wrong with me? What's going on? I can't, I don't understand why my body is breaking down at this point because, I was still going to the gym. And I thought I was eating healthy, which wasn't true. But I was, I thought that because I looked physically good, that internally I was achieving balance and internally that I would feel good. But the reality was that I didn't emotionally. I had hit a rock bottom. And that was completely different from, mentally what I was thinking. And I'll get more into that, how your mental could be separated from your emotional.
Yeah.
So when I was talking to the doctor told me that I was suffering from stress. And stress is the number one serial killer in the world. And living a life of stress is the number one cause behind mental health. Mental health declines in the world. And I had no clue. And he also told me that 95% of the physical ailments that were on my body were driven by my emotions.
Yeah.
And I was an engineering undergrad and I was very logical, mathematics, engineering. And I went to Hampton University. I got the best education, HBCU, woo woo. And I was like,
really, Mike?
Like,
I thought that you were like, a literature major or something like that.
No, I was engineering.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yes.
Yeah, so I was very left brain logical thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and because of that, I never put together, I never put together the bridge between my emotions and just my mental thoughts. And when I understood that my emotions were the things that were really governing my life, it was like an aha moment for me. And that's when I knew I needed to make better choices. I needed to make a choice if I wanted to if I wanted to live a heart-centric life, or if I wanted to continue living and chasing this dream of success.
Yeah.
This paradigm and this narrative of what I thought success was, which was basically being busy all the time. I was proud to be busy. I was working in New York, so that being busy was a badge of honor. Being stressed was a badge of honor.
Yeah.
And, I ultimately had to choose between that. I had to take a chance on something completely different. The way that I was living my life wasn't correct. And it wasn't giving me the balance that I needed for me to really feel good about myself. So that's when, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things that I wanted to also add to this is that, when you are a Black person, then, we are always also trying to prove ourselves. And because we are naturally very hardworking people, that we will work ourselves to death. Literally, right? We will work to death, and we will continue to work ourselves to death until we have the balance and the boundaries that we need to actually set for ourselves and not have anyone else try to set them, because they won't set those boundaries for us, right? So it sounds like you were doing this, and I know, we were talking before this episode recording, but like that was my story too, right? That I was also working to death and getting stressed out and having digestive issues and like patches in my hair because I was working and stressed and all of that. And so I say all of this and I mention all of this because I think it is important to know that like you are not the only person that's experienced this, and most high achieving Black individuals will go through this at some point. They're just not talking about it.
Oh no, they're not talking about it. And one of the things that I mentioned self-mastery, but the other part was subconscious energy reprogramming.
Yeah.
And subconscious energy reprogramming is all about getting down to the gene and DNA level of understanding what your underlying beliefs are, which sometimes could be limiting or sometimes they could be upgraded. So my underlying belief, which became a limiting belief, was that I needed to work 2 and 3 times harder than the next man. If this person is doing this as a Black man, I needed to work harder. As a minority, I needed to work 10 times harder. I needed to stay later. I needed to burn the midnight candle. I needed to do all these things. That was my belief system growing up. So if that was my belief system, then that became my reality. And if that became my reality, then that means my reality was filled with just working so hard in living a life that was unbalanced. And people don't understand the difference between, hey, I'm trying to change something at a conscious level, but why can't I really change it long term?
Yeah.
That's how I started to get into subconscious energy reprogramming.
I love that you mentioned this. And I just want to like lay this to rest, right? That like this is how we all grew up. And I think that we are in a different time right now. I'm not saying there's no racism. I'm not saying that there's no prejudice. I'm not saying that there's no inequality, but I want us to shift how we're framing this. We actually do not need to work twice or 3 times as much as the next person, but our results need to be twice or 3 times as good, right? It doesn't mean that we have to work as hard as we may think that we need to. It's just our results need to be that much better, right? So I think I think there's a different framing around like actual process of work and outcomes. And if we can shift to, I can make amazing outcomes and not necessarily have to work at the same rate of the outcomes, I think we can start to take care of ourselves in a different way outside of the subconscious programming, that we have to like be thinking about this in a different way. And it means unlearning the things that we were taught growing up. What are your thoughts?
Well, for me, and what I've learned is, first of all, I agree with you. I think there definitely needs to be a reality shift, and that's shifting from your limiting beliefs to an upgraded belief system.
Yeah.
A lot of times we adopted these beliefs from ages 0 to 7 during our childhood, and we installed these programs for survival, for love, for acceptance, for validation from our caretakers. We have these mirror neurons in our body, and we're just mirroring. We're just becoming downloads of what we see around us. So we're installing all of these programs with no filter. And then the filter comes on at ages 8 onward, and that's your conscious brain. So there's a separation between your subconscious and your conscious brain. But before then, you've been installed all of these programs, which creates your reality. It creates your personality of who you are now. So right now, I'm 38 years old. So I could be thinking as a 38-year-old Black male, but I could still be a 7-year-old little boy operating in this reality right now.
Yeah.
This is how you see so many people who are so smart and so intelligent, but they have the emotional intelligence of, somebody who's an adolescent.
Yeah.
They don't know how to speak about their emotions, how to deal with their emotions, how to understand their triggers, how to feel. They only know the mental part, which is the conscious brain. This is why you have so many people in the Black community who might think about, like, hey, I deserve to be rich. I am rich. I'm going to be rich. I put the posters on. I went to the Tony Robbins seminar. I listened to
not the Tony Robbins. We're not playing that game.
I listened to the Oprahs and the Will Smiths and the Jada Pinkett's, and I should be good. But emotionally, which is your subconscious, which is 95% of your reality. I forgot to tell you that stat. Your subconscious is 95% of your reality, which is the mix between your autonomic nervous system, your automatic behaviors, thoughts, feelings, and actions. If that's 95% of your reality, then that means emotionally you might feel poor. So there's a disconnect between mentally, I'm thinking smart, mentally I'm thinking intelligent. I went to the Columbias, I went to the HBCUs, I did all these different things, but emotionally, I feel poor. Emotionally, I feel like I'm not enough. Therefore, what you will see in your manifestations and creating your reality is a mixed bag. You might see a mix between this and a mix between that, or you might not get it at all, because the reality is, for your subconscious, or your reality is, you get who you are, not necessarily what you want. You get in like who you are, what you feel inside, which is the 95%, not necessarily what you want. And those two might be aligned, but if they're not, then you're always going to be having an uphill battle.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned something that I think is really, really important, and I want to just highlight for the listeners out there, which is that this time frame between birth and 7 years old is of the utmost importance. And this is where so much of the programming happens. So I want to encourage all of the listeners out there to really think about what was happening between ages 0 to 7 in your life, in your household, in your family's life, and how has that shaped you, right? I don't think that we really take a step back and really think about that because we're so busy doing so many other things. But I think it will be really helpful for you to get a sense of, well, actually, you know, my mom was doing this, my dad was doing this, my siblings were doing this, right? This is how I experience school. This is how I experience other caretakers, right? All of these different things, which I think is so important. And as we're talking about, really shape who you are. And then taking a step beyond that, right? Because I think that we actually develop in 7-year intervals. So we're different people from 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 21, 21 to 28, 28 to 35, 35 to 42, and so on. And so, but start with the 0 to 7 years old and see kind of what are the major themes of that time so that you can have a true understanding of how the rest of your 7-year intervals are really going and why, right? Awesome.
Completely agreed.
Yeah. So let's talk about kind of this, because you've mentioned it before, the subconscious tapping. What does that mean and why is it so important?
The subconscious is unbelievably important because it dictates 95% of your reality. It consists of your thoughts, feelings, and your behaviors, which are your actions. So think of your subconscious like your operating system, and your conscious brain as like the apps that you install on top of that operating system. So right now I have an iPhone, and at my default factory mode, you know, I don't have any programs that are installed except the ones that come with it. So over time, I'm going to install different programs, you know, just because I want my life to be more creative. I want to access my bank. I want to, you know, look at the dictionary. I want to, you know, access certain podcasts, you know, etc. What has happened is the operating system, which is our subconscious, over time, programs have been installed that have really clouded what our truest essence or what our truest operating system originally was. Our original operating system, or who we really are, is our factory default mode. So we might have installed this program, you know, for this family member. We might have installed this because we needed to survive there, or we might have installed this program because we wanted to be accepted there. And we installed all of these programs, and we keep installing these programs. And these, when I say programs, what I'm talking about is our beliefs. Our belief systems. Our belief systems shape our entire reality. So we keep installing these different belief systems around money. Let me give you an example. A belief system around money would be, money is the root of all evil. Money is hard to come by. And as my grandfather used to always tell me, money don't grow on trees.
Right.
So we installed all of these programs, and then those became our belief systems. And based on those belief systems, we started actioning in order to create that particular reality. So I've created a reality over the majority of my life that money is hard to come by, that money is the root of all evil, and that money doesn't grow on trees. So therefore, money was hard for me. I had to work really, really, really hard to get money. It didn't matter how many degrees I had and, you know, X, Y, Z. I always saw the person next to me, and it was usually the Caucasian male or the Caucasian female. And I usually saw them, and they didn't have these limiting beliefs. They didn't have those same programs. So therefore, they were able to get into these jobs and do these things and, you know, all these things and make so much money very quickly, where I had to work 3 and 4 and 5 times as hard because I had that belief and that program which dictated my reality. The whole point of energy mastery is, how do we remove those different programs that are no longer serving you, that are no longer making you happy, that are no longer, you know, making you the best person that you can be? How do we uninstall those programs, and how do we install or reinstall new programs that can benefit you now, ultimately helping you to create reality on your own terms? And that is why the subconscious is so important, because without the subconscious, if you're not talking to the subconscious, and then what you're really talking to is your conscious brain, and that's just a temporary solution. Your subconscious brain is going to get cues from the subconscious, and your conscious brain is always going to be fickle. Every day you feel a different emotion, right?
Right.
Every day you have different thoughts. All that's coming from your conscious brain. It's just like all these different thoughts and emotions. If I try to attach to any of those, I would have those different realities and I would be so confused. If you
Yeah.
control your subconscious, you control everything. And that is what we teach.
So how do we tap into this?
There are a number of different ways.
What are some of the ways that you have found, since you do this work quite a bit, that are very efficient ways to help the listeners out there kind of tap into the subconscious? Because I'm sure different people will tap into it in different ways, right? We're all different individuals, and we all have different experiences. So what are some of the most efficient ways to tap into the subconscious?
I would say the easiest way to tap into your subconscious is to relax. And it's so simple, it's silly. They're like, okay, relax. Well, think about it. Most of the time, people are running on stress. Most of the time, people are running on survival mode. Most of the time, people are running in a beta state of mindset. So they're really running on hyperactivity. I got to do this. I got to pick up my kids. I got to come back. I got to cook my food. I got to take care of this person. They're just everywhere. So that hyperactivity is keeping your reptilian brain, in a state of survival. And when you're in a state of survival, your body, your emotions, your operating system is in high alert. That decreases your immune system. That decreases your capacity to really, really think outside of the box. It keeps you in a very narrow way of thinking. So when you can relax in any type of way, meditation, yoga, prayer.
I also think that just being in the shower, taking a long shower or bath, or even taking a walk, right, are ways to relax and to have your mind go to places that it doesn't necessarily go to on an everyday basis.
Listen, I was listening to Usher the other day on a walk through the park, and that was my relaxation. I was listening to Confessions, just jamming.
You would listen to Confessions.
It took me back to college, but that was my relaxation.
Yeah, totally. No, but in all seriousness, actually listening to old songs that and are actually ways for you to relax as well, right? That they're
exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly. So relaxation is the most important thing that you can ever do in order to enter into a different mode of thinking, or to a different frequency of consciousness.
Yeah.
Where we're going from beta to alpha to all of these different states. And once you get into these different states, then you can start programming. You can start programming at a subconscious level. So once you get out of hyperactivity.
Talk to me about what these states, because I know my girls out there are like, oh, he's talking about states. What are these? So what states are we talking about here? I need to know it all. Break it down.
Okay. So, what you are normally operating on when you're in hyperactivity mode is your beta mode. That's your beta state of consciousness. Mm-hmm. And that's what you see, the people who are working in these big cities, or you might, it doesn't even have to be in a big city, but it's just kind of like when you're just in the day to day and you're just trying to get through the day. When you're just super busy, you're checking off and you are just trying to make it happen. That's beta mode. That's survival mode. Mm-hmm. And anyone knows if you are running on survival mode for the majority of time, something's got to give.
Yeah.
So that's when you start seeing the decline in your health. That's when you start seeing office sickness. That's when you start seeing yourself feeling very, very fatigued. Normally accidents happen during this time. A lot of different things manifest during this time that you're unaware of just because you're in survival mode. The next state is your alpha state. Mm-hmm. Your alpha state is your flow state. Your flow state is kind of like, hey, when you're in the zone and you're just flowing, you're listening to your music, you're chilling on the couch, you're just moving through life effortlessly, and it just feels good. You feel like you're in alpha mode. A good example is when you first wake up and you don't really want to get out of bed, but you're in that in-between state between having your eyes kind of open and you're about to step out of bed and go to the bathroom or fix yourself some tea or coffee, and you're just chilling there. Or when you're on the couch and you're just watching something just kind of mindless and you just kind of fall into the couch, and right before you're about to take a nap and you're feeling a little bit sleepy. Those are all alpha states. And in those states, I would say that would be the beginning state where you can actually program into your subconscious. That's when you can get to a different level of consciousness. And then we go into theta mode.
So hold on 1 second. This alpha mode, right? Because you're talking about programming in this moment. I would also say that I think sometimes, at least for me, my alpha mode is like when I'm playing sports. And maybe for other people, it's like when they're running or doing something active as well, that they can get into this flow state in their mind. Is that also kind of something that you've experienced as well, or your clients?
Yes. Exercising, playing sports, when I'm playing basketball, when I'm running track, when I'm playing football with the boys and I'm just in my flow state. All of those things, you actually see it with athletes. They're superstars.
Yeah, that's right.
When Kobe is scoring 50 or 100 points, in a game, when Michael Jordan is really just taking, taking the game to the finals and just hitting that last shot. He's in this flow. When Serena Williams is just winning all of the different, championships and really just dominating everybody. She's in her flow. So all of these people are in their flow state. And it's pretty meditative. Yeah. I mean, this is meditative, and this is where you really get to access, your extended knowledge, because when you're in beta, you're very sequestered and you're very siloed into one way of thinking. You're not able to look outside of the box. You're not able to look outside of your current state of consciousness because you're so hyper focused on what's in front of you.
Yeah.
But if you take a step back and you relax, and then you can see the entire picture. And that's when you start getting into alpha mode, which is your flow state.
You were talking about programming within the alpha mode. So when you say program, what do you mean? So for example, let's say I'm playing basketball right now. How could I program myself while I'm in my flow and my alpha state while I'm playing basketball? Yeah, go ahead.
While you're playing basketball, what you can do is use that energy, use that meditative state, use that flow state that you're in. And then you can work on like, hey, what is it that I want to upgrade in my life? Where is it that I want to balance? What is it that I want to reprogram? So you might give yourself suggestions. One of the suggestions could be around, relationships. I am worthy for a healthy partnership in my life. One of them could be around money. Money comes to me very effortlessly and easily every day in my life. These are all suggested programs that you can basically install within your hardware. And when I'm talking about hardware, if we get into the science, what I'm talking about is your neural synapses. You can install neural positive synapses in your brain that create new memory formations. And let me take a step back and tell you what that means. Right now,
can I just stop you though? I think this is like really important information that you're talking about, because I think that people try to program themselves in beta state. And it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
You can say all of the freaking affirmations that you want while you're rushing to get ready for work, and you're not doing anything, right?
Exactly.
This is like really important information that I think everyone needs to know. That it is only in your flow state that you can bring in and program the amazing affirmations that can actually take hold and start to help your energy level up to where you want to be. This is like groundbreaking. This is amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the reason is because you're 100% in your conscious brain.
Yeah.
You can't program in your conscious brain. Your conscious brain is for manifesting. It's for directing and for actually bringing to life what's going on in your subconscious. So another way that we can look at it for our spiritual folks is your subconscious is the feminine energy, and your conscious is the masculine energy. So we might want to, for the feminine energy, we're cultivating the garden, we're receiving, we're harvesting, we're doing all these things. And for the masculine part, that's where we're using the tools to actually plow and plant the seeds and push forward. So if my subconscious ain't right, then what's going to come out of my conscious ain't going to be right either.
Right.
So that's why we always need to start with the subconscious and making sure that our garden is clean, that our garden is clear, and that our garden is very healthy, so that we can cultivate positive thoughts, positive feelings, and positive actions. And going back to exactly what you said, which was we can't program in the conscious because that's just the tool. Just like we can't plant a tool. We can't plant a garden hose or the water hose or anything like that, but we can plant the seeds in the garden. And the only place that we can plant is in our subconscious, and that's where things fertilize and that's where things grow. So the only way to get into that is we start in the alpha state, then we go into the theta state, then we go into the delta state, et cetera. But really the starting place for any fertilization, any installing or programming is alpha.
Okay, now you said something about theta. Talk to me about this theta state.
So theta is the next step. So we're getting into more of our relaxation. And then this is where you hear like the binary beats from theta, sometimes in the meditation. When you're getting into theta, you're completely into the subconscious at this point. You're completely into flow state. And what that really feels like at the theta level is your mind is completely aware, but your body is asleep. So I don't know if you ever got that deep into meditation before, but for the callers who've ever gotten really deep into meditation or to prayer, sometimes your body can be completely asleep, and you think that you're basically catatonic, but you're aware of everything that's around you, and that's theta state. And then the next state after that is your delta. Your delta is your deep sleep. And this is normally where you see babies from ages 0 to 2 years old. Mm-hmm. And you see them sleeping all day. They're normally in delta, just sleeping and really just in dream state. That's what we would call the dream state, which is delta. So you can access those different levels, and within each level is different information. Mm. And with different information, it's just more powerful. So we teach, I just kept it really simple. Obviously, there's, different techniques to get into alpha. But the impetus of everything that I've been saying is really just relaxation.
I love it. I love this. This has been so beneficial, so informative. This is why you all, if you are ready to rock and roll with him, you need to connect with him after this podcast, because this is a game changer for sure. Okay, Mike, I want to switch gears now because you're my first male guest. First of all, congratulations. I know you feel so honored.
I am super.
But I want to pick your brain a little bit, because I think that a lot of my listeners want to kind of get an understanding of, your journey a bit, right? Like, so when you were single, he's not single anymore, ladies. What were you looking for, right? When you were single, when you were like, let me step back, because I think that there's like single and looking for a relationship and single. So I guess my better question is, what made you go from single to single looking for a relationship? What were those things in your life that changed, whether it was mentally, physically, emotionally, externally, to get you to that switch? Why am I asking this? I'm asking this because I know for sure that there are a lot of times where, and this is what I tell my clients and the women that I work with, that if men are not self-actualized, it's going to be very hard for them to be looking for a true relationship and partnership, where there is going to be energy shared, that there is going to be an outlook for this part of their life in a more serious level. So talk to me about your transition and if that was the case for you.
Okay, so there was two different realities that I was living in. There was the unconscious single looking for a relationship, and there was the conscious single. I am looking for the relationship within myself. So the unconscious single, me, was looking for the one. I was looking for the one. I wanted her to be beautiful. I wanted her to be educated. I was looking for all these different things, but I wasn't conscious of who I was first. So I was looking for my partner unconsciously to fill gaps within me that I didn't have within myself.
That is exactly right.
So that was unconscious Michael, right? So conscious Michael going into, okay, yeah, the doctor tells me that, I'm living a life of stress, this and that. I've changed my life. I started to do meditation, yoga, blah, blah, blah. The self-actualized divine masculine. So when I came into that, what I started looking for is someone who can upgrade the quality of my life or improve the quality of my life. But the only way that I could achieve that is by me improving the quality of my own life. So I went from looking for a relationship to looking for a relationship within myself. And once I looked for a relationship within myself, then I promise you, I didn't want a relationship. I didn't need a relationship. Mm. I wasn't on the market for a relationship. And then that's when it happened.
So what is, looking for a relationship with myself? What does that look like? What things were done? What actions and behaviors did you take to make that happen?
Well, I mean, the age-old adage is know thyself. I really needed to understand who I was and what I wanted, and what my purpose was, in this world. I needed to understand what my triggers were. I needed to understand what my greatest fears were, what my limiting beliefs were, and I needed to understand my strengths. What was it that I was bringing to the table? What is it that I wanted to do? Who was I independent of a relationship? Because when you enter into a relationship, a lot of people say that you meld into one, and I don't believe that's true. Mm-hmm. I believe that you're two people holding hands together, or let me take that step back. I believe that you're two people standing together, not holding hands, but standing together as a partnership. And the reason why I look at that in that type of framework is because I suffer from a lot of codependency, getting into relationships.
Yeah.
And I always look for the partner to hold my hand, to clean up my side of the street, to do this or to do that. What I realize is if I'm not experiencing sovereignty and freedom within myself and independence with myself, then I'm going to be looking for someone to fulfill that void for me. It's kind of like if you own a pizza shop, but you don't have pepperoni. And then somebody comes to you and says, hey, listen, I can offer you pepperoni if you need it. The first thing that you're going to say is like, yeah, I need the pepperoni because, this is what, I'm missing that. But if you have all of the different toppings and if you have all the 31 flavors for ice cream, if you have everything that you need, then you don't need someone else. What you're looking for and what you are going to accept is someone who could either match you or can bring something that's different or better. So I had to figure out what my toppings were. I needed to figure out what my flavors were, which ones I liked, which ones I didn't like. And in order to do that, I needed to spend time by myself. And spending time by yourself doesn't, always mean that you need to spend time like as a Buddhist monk and you're up in the Himalayas and you're away from everybody. What I'm talking about is understanding what you feel like, understanding how your energy feels, understanding how your frequency is giving out into the world. You could do that alone. You could do that around other people, but whatever is best for you, you need to cultivate that knowledge within yourself.
I love this so much. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and only then at that point was I able to see people for who they were. That's a big, you know what? I think we need to dive into that. You can only see people at your level of self-worth.
That's right.
And I'll repeat that again. You can only see what you want in people at your level of self-worth. So if I'm still needing people, if I'm still codependent, if I still don't think that I'm enough, then that's all I'm going to see is people who can actually validate that reality. But if I already have those things within myself and then I can see my match. It's kind of like when you've been through it all and you've been through those experiences, you can see the BS.
That's right.
You can see the people who, are charlatans, or the people who, are not about it, or the people who are, inauthentic, or the people who are going to manipulate you or who are going to cheat on you. You can see those things. It's very clear. So I always tell people that in order for you to see exactly and for you to become aware of exactly what it is that you are manifesting, you have to become that. You have to become all those things that you're wanting in this life. So when I became that, is when I matched the frequency of someone who was also looking for the same thing or who was also that. And then we became partners.
Yeah.
Not in a relationship. Not, oh yeah, that's my girlfriend, it's my boyfriend. No, we became partners for us to live our full expression of who we really are, not who we are together, who we really are individually. My partner supports me in me living my life exactly how I want to live it on my own terms. And I support her in living her life exactly how she wants to live on her own terms.
I love that.
And that's it.
Yeah, yeah. You said, you know, one of the things that I think is important, and one of the things that I do in my program is, you know, we focused on, as you said, getting to know oneself. And once you're able to do that, you get to up-level the self-worth that you have and have the ability to trust yourself and have confidence in yourself to the point where you can start to trust your intuition, which is so important for women, right? You said you get to see it. I think that's the case for men, but for women, it's you get to feel it. You feel the charlatans, you feel the people that are not about anything, right? And so I think sometimes when women hear dating and relationship coach, they say, okay, he's just going to tell me like, you know, what to text, you know, what to say, how to flirt. No, this is about becoming the woman, right? That can actually be in the partnership that you just described, right? That can stand on her own 2 feet and be able to be okay with or without a partner. Yeah. This is so powerful, so powerful.
Can I also say one
course.
more thing to that? It's very powerful, the distinction that you made between, you know, seeing it and feeling it. And you know, that has to all do with your emotional intelligence. And the higher your emotional intelligence, your body speaks to you, your body talks, and your body actually gives you answers before your intellectual mind can actually comprehend it. There have been numerous studies of how your body actually answered a question before the question was even finished, because your body sensed what was coming and what the solution was specifically for you before you even had a chance to consciously process it. So, what you just said in relationship coaching, which is what makes you so important to this work, is when women and men, that when humans get back to understanding their body, you can meet somebody and within 3 seconds, you can tell this person is going to be you can feel if this person is going to be a good match for you or not. You can feel this person's energy, that this person is going to be trustworthy, that this person is going to, you know, provide longevity, is going to provide a mirror for you to upgrade. All of those different things is communicating to your body.
That's
but
right.
you in your conscious mind might get in your own way. You in your conscious mind might be like, well, he's fine. Oh, well, right. He said all the right things.
When you're focused on this other person and you're not listening to your body and yourself, you can get blinded by all that BS, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what this is about.
So
that's what this work is about.
That's what it's about. Exactly.
Yeah, I love it. Okay.
That part.
I want to talk about how you got your gal, right? We are lovely romantics here on this podcast. So give us the story about how you all met.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that one. But we met in
Do you not
New
feel
York.
comfortable sharing? If not, that's okay.
Oh, no. I'm an open vessel.
Okay.
It's actually probably somewhere on my Instagram. I write about all this. I just tell people my life. And I tell people my life so that they can learn from it and so that they can make better decisions in their life as well. So for me, I was at a party in Brooklyn and my partner was visiting from London because she's from London. And she came in and she visited and, you know, I saw her dancing to a little Afro beats and a little reggae song. And, you know, she had the moves and all that stuff. And that's how we met.
No. That's not what we do here. So how do we go from she's dancing to probably a bomb song and you see her? So do you approach her? Do you start dancing with her? How does that work?
Oh, so you want all of the cheese. Okay.
Always
all right,
that.
So let me, okay, so I can start from scratch. So we were at a mutual friend's party, and her and her friend were actually standing in front of me. And one of my friends, and I was standing behind her, so I saw her, and I think she noticed me. I'm not really sure, but one of my friends actually went up to her and started talking to her. It was a girl as a friend of mine. She just went over and started talking to her and introduced us. So
was she like a wing woman for you?
I don't know if she was playing wing woman. I think she was just being friendly with the people who were around us. But it was just happenstance that she was the one who I was interested in speaking to. So of course I dive in and I start speaking to her, and then I'm saying, hey, we're going to the after party. I might be going. Let's exchange information, and if you're there and if I'm there, then I'll see you there. And she went to the after party. I wound up going to a different place first to hang out with some friends. You. And I was giving her, just kind of the woo woo. Like I might come, I might not. I'm not sure. But I actually wound up showing up. And then when I saw her, I mean, my divine masculine just went straight into overdrive. I went straight over to her. No thrills, no nothing. It was just very straightforward. I saw her, I went for it. I just went directly to her and started dancing with her.
Okay.
Like it just was what it was. I wasn't gonna sit there and wait and be too cool. I already knew what I wanted at that point. So I made it happen.
Yeah. So you all are dancing together, and then before we know it, you guys are in a relationship, or how does that go? So that night sounds like it was amazing and fun. I guess my question is, you guys came together, we're dancing, getting to know each other. How do we go from that to I want to be your partner?
Well, we were doing long distance for a while because she was in London and I was in New York. So we were seeing each other every 4 or 5 weeks. And that lasted for about a year until she finally moved to New York. And we moved in together and we got our own apartment,
Nice.
Et cetera.
How did you know? I'm sorry to be asking so many questions, but I want to get an understanding of what was your decision-making process to actually say, I want to move in with this girl?
She was the first girl.
Yeah.
She was the first girl that I ever dated where I felt that I could be completely myself.
That's it.
I was completely honest about who I was, what I wanted, and who I wasn't. And she accepted it. And she told me who she was and what she wanted. And we were so painfully honest with each other. And when I say painfully honest, we were painfully to the point where I was like, if I say this, I know that she's going to run for the hills. I know that she's not going to accept me, and I'm pretty sure she was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
But we were that honest with each other because at that point in my life, I didn't need a relationship. So I had nothing to lose. I was like, okay, well, let me be honest. This is what I want. This is what I don't want. And I was just honest about all of those things. All the things that I would wait for 6 months or a year to be honest about, all the things that I was scared to reveal about myself, in previous relationships. I told her, within the first couple of days of meeting her. And, I hear a lot of philosophy.
You told her
like,
what?
oh,
these things, these like very like revealing things, or that you wanted to be with her?
These very revealing things.
Mm-hmm.
And we cultivated that type of honest, upfront relationship over a matter of a year, over a matter of months. And because of that, and because I felt that I could be so open, I experienced a certain level of freedom that I had never experienced before. And so did she. And then that is how I knew that I could be in this relationship and that I wanted to be in this relationship, because I felt that she was the perfect mirror for me to grow. She was the perfect partner, the perfect conduit for me to, basically test all the things that I was learning about. If I listened to Anwar's podcast and now it's time to put it into practice, she was the perfect person to do that with, because she held space for me to screw up. She held space for me for my imperfections and for my humanity to shine through. She held space for me to be more than I thought that I could be. And there was no judgment. There was no limitations. There was no conditional love. It was unconditional. And since we practiced unconditional love, that's how I knew that this was going to be my partner.
I love it. This is so lovely and so romantic. I'm eating all of it up. But honestly, thank you so much for sharing. I think it's such a beautiful story. And I think it's so revealing in terms of, you know, how men really think about going to getting more serious with a person, right? I think it's important to understand that. And I know that it's important for my listeners. So again, thank you so much for sharing that. All righty.
I did want to make
Go ahead.
Anwar, I did want to make one distinction. When you say men, and I you know, I've listened to a couple of your podcasts, and
just a couple.
You have some very powerful women on your podcast, and what I wanted to say to these women is men who have balanced their divine feminine and divine masculine. It's very important that you find a man, or that you attract a man who is aligned, not just a man. You know, I hear a lot of people like, I just want a man. Like, okay, well, you're just gonna get any man. You know, be very specific on the type of energy that you want to bring into your life, the type of energy that you deserve, the type of energy that you expect. And only then can you get the order back specifically and customized to what it is that you want. Don't just put in a general order, but expect a specific meal. Be very, very specific about your manifestation.
I love it. You heard it from the master manifester himself. Okay, so for my listeners that want to get their manifestation on, that want to get their balance on, that want to master their own energy and really tap into that subconscious, how can they connect with you, dear sir?
So they can connect with me in a number of different ways. My Instagram, you know, I'm at Michael A as in Anthony Blunt, Blunt, Michael A Blunt, and that's my Instagram handle. Or you could just visit the c3method.com. And I'm not sure if you're going to be posting that on, you know, just so
that will definitely be in the show notes.
Yeah, yeah, but it's the c3method.com. And you can look at the different programs that I've created. I actually created an energy mastery school. And this is for powerful women and men and intuitives of the world who are looking to transition into more of a life of balance and learn self-mastery and energy mastery. A lot of people call me Professor X because when you think about, have you seen the X-Men?
I have.
Yeah. So the X-Men is where a lot of those intuitives come, and you know, a lot of those different people, the mutants that have those special powers and those powerful abilities, and they come and they learn how to fine-tune that and how to own it and to find their purpose. And that's how I kind of look at the people who come into energy, enroll into Energy Mastery School, is a place for intuitives people, a place for sensitives, a place for manifestors and leaders and influencers and creators to come and learn about their special superpowers and to learn how to use them in order to find their purpose.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, you heard it here first. Get on and listen to c3method.com and go on and look this man up. He is going to help you really get in tune with yourself, it sounds like, more than anything else. And so I love that. Mm-hmm. Michael Blunt, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been great.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to your audience. I love you all. I already feel connected to you all. And where I don't know that you're going to be successful. I'm living in your success right now. And I thank you for inviting me into that. So I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. All right. Love you all. We'll talk with you soon. Bye now.
All right.